So supervised parenting time. So I want to talk about this topic. There's a lot to it, of course, a lot of ways to get in trouble, get off on the wrong foot with things when it comes to supervised parenting time. So what's going on here? So first of all, supervised parenting time is normally going to grow out of the beginning of a legal action. That's a lot of times, most of the times when it happens. You first get a divorce case filed, divorce started, or a custody case because you were never married. You go in your separate ways, and something is triggering the other person, the mother of the child, to say that you should not be alone with the kids. Maybe there's been a domestic violence incident, maybe there's been substance abuse or allegations of substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. So they're saying, I don't want you alone with your child. Or maybe there's just no relationship with the child. Sometimes that's the case too. For whatever reason, you two have been apart, you haven't been seeing the child, and now you want to start up a relationship and you're trying to get some time with the child, and the mother or the court is claiming, well, you need a supervisor, somebody should be monitoring things initially at least. So supervised parenting time is where all that kind of leads to. So, what are your strategies on this? What should you be doing? What are the do's and don'ts when it comes to supervised parenting time? Well, first of all, I think you need to look at why are we doing supervised parenting time, and if there's a request for it or a demand for it, why are we agreeing to supervised parenting time? I mean, one strategy is just not to agree don't agree to it. If the offer is you're going to have to be supervised to see your kids, I mean, you could go to a judge and end up with the same result. There's not much worse that they could do to you than that. So one strategy would be to say, yeah, I'm not going to agree to that. Let's just go see the judge or the referee. We'll see what they think. It's sort of like jail time, being offered. You've done something and you're willing to plead guilty, and they're saying, well, we'll let you plead guilty, but you're going to do some jail time. Maybe you don't even do that then. You say, well, then I'll just do the trial and we'll see how it goes because I'm losing either way. Supervised parenting time can feel like that. I mean, you really want to be sure that you're getting a fair shake and not just being led down some path over somebody's anxiety or worries or irrational thoughts that you can't be alone with your kids, because that happens too. There's a lot of situations where it's appropriate. It should always be a short-term solution. If you're going to do a court order that has supervised parenting time in it, there should always be what's next kind of stuff in there, that you're going to do this for 5 times and then it's going to change to unsupervised, or then it's going to change to some other sort of thing. You would never have an order that just says supervised parenting time with no other remedy in place, nothing else that you can do, and nothing that's going to trigger it to change. So you want to be careful on that. And another one I just saw recently was when you're agreeing to someone to be a supervisor, somebody that's going to watch your kids. If you're going to agree to supervised parenting time, or even if you're in front of a judge and they're going to make a decision, make suggestions about who can be the supervisor and make sure it's somebody that's actually available. We had a client recently had agreed to an order. They probably should have just gone to the judge and had it be contested and get a judge's decision, but they didn't. They reached an agreement and they used some place I've never heard of. We weren't their attorneys yet, and the place that they agreed to is not available. They're basically not available. They've spent 2 months trying to get this set up. They still haven't seen their kid. That's not right. That's not the intention of supervised visits, is to starve the other person out and make it so they never see their kid. They should have a reasonable access to the parenting time, to the visits, and there should be some regularity to them. And if I got to do 5 visits and then it's unsupervised, or 5 visits and then we're back to court to review it, those 5 visits should be happening. There really should be weekly contact with any child when it comes to this kind of stuff. So make sure you're picking somebody that's available. You try to pick a family member or a friend, but I know if emotions are high, then you're going to run into where she doesn't want any of your family doing it. You don't want her family doing it. That's fine. But if you end up at these places that are corporate, commercial, somebody for hire type of stuff to do supervising, you should be checking before you agree to it with whether they're available, what's their availability, what's their protocol, what's the cost, how many hoops you got to jump through to get it set up in the first place, because that can all really, really get in the way. Like I said, the example I had somebody recently, it's been 2 months, they're no closer to seeing their kid than they were 2 months ago. That's not what supervised parenting time is supposed to be like. It doesn't make any sense. It should be started right away. So you got to watch out for that kind of stuff. And supervision can also include therapy. There might be somebody that's a therapist that's involved, or you might be doing supervision and there's a request that you also see a therapist, or a substance abuse evaluation, or a psychological evaluation, whatever it is. You want to make sure that these things are available. You understand the protocol, what's required when you do these things, where you go, how you do it, how many visits, what's the cost. You want to know all that up front before you agree to it. Now, if it's something the court is ordering, then you'd want to make sure before you leave court that this is something that's possible. Is this available? Is this place even open anymore? Because who knows? Sometimes courts are using things that are on a list. They're being told that this is what we can do, and maybe it doesn't exist, or maybe it's not what they think it is. So you always want to do your research, have your information in front of you. When you're making an agreement, or even if something becomes court ordered, you want to know before you leave, how's this going to work? Who do I contact? What's expected of me? What's expected of the other person? How is all this going to happen? Because a lot of things can get in the way and take a bad situation, make it worse. It's bad enough that you have to be supervised. Now you can't even get that part going, and now you're just nowhere. And this is where people feel defeated and they give up. So don't give up. You know, there's always something more you can do. If you have to, go back to court again, revisit the issue, because what was agreed upon is not what everybody thought it was, or not what you should have been doing, or they're not available, or you know, basically they're not available because it's been 2 months and you can't make it happen. But yeah, that's some thoughts on supervised parenting time, supervised visitation. Hopefully that helps. Thanks.